Kalen wiped the sweat from his brow as he shoveled hay into the stalls. The stables of the royal palace on Drather were enormous, stretching farther than the eye could see, filled with dragons of every size and color. From the smallest hatchlings, barely bigger than a human child, to the massive adults whose wings could block out the sun, Kalen had cared for them all. Every day was the same: clean, feed, check for injuries, and hope nothing went wrong. Most humans thought dragons were dangerous, but Kalen had grown up around them. He knew their moods, their quirks, and how to calm a frightened hatchling. The early morning air was crisp, carrying the smell of hay, smoke, and dragon scales. Kalen hummed softly as he worked, his movements automatic. He had long stopped thinking of himself as anything special. A stable hand was a stable hand. He had no titles, no power, no one who noticed him beyond the occasional nod from a passing servant. Even the palace guards barely looked his way. Yet Kalen liked it this way. Quiet, simple, and predictable. That morning, as he reached the far corner of the stables, a small sound caught his attention. A whimpering, soft and almost human. He followed the noise and found a dragon hatchling lying on the straw, its wing bent at an odd angle. The little creature's scales shimmered in a pale green, and its amber eyes were wide with fear. Kalen knelt beside it, his hands gentle. "Easy, little one. I won't hurt you," he whispered. He lifted the hatchling carefully and carried it to a soft patch of hay. He inspected the wing, trying to figure out how badly it was hurt. As his fingers brushed the scales, a strange warmth spread through his palm. He froze. The sensation was unlike anything he had felt before, soft, almost like the hatchling's fear had touched him in a way that made his own body respond. He shook his hand, but the warmth stayed. Then he noticed it. A faint, glowing mark in the shape of a claw had appeared on his palm. Kalen stared at it, blinking rapidly. It faded slightly when he moved his hand, but it did not disappear. He had never seen anything like it. He knew about dragon marks, the signs of bond between a dragon and a human, but those were usually given by dragons themselves, and only to special humans chosen by the elder dragons. Kalen was nobody. Just a stable hand. He shook his head. Maybe it was just a trick of the morning light. Maybe he was imagining things. Yet, the mark pulsed faintly as if it were alive, and the hatchling nuzzled his hand, its amber eyes fixed on him. A shiver ran down his spine. Something had changed. He could feel it deep inside. Kalen set the hatchling down gently and stepped back. He glanced around the stables. Everything seemed the same: hay stacked in neat piles, the smell of animals strong in the air, the sunlight streaming through high windows. Yet there was a new tension in the air. Even the dragon seemed to sense it. A large adult in the corner, a silver-scaled female with eyes as blue as ice, lowered her head and studied him, nostrils flaring. Kalen froze under her gaze. "Calm down, heiress," he said softly. The dragon tilted her head, then slowly lowered herself to the straw. Kalen exhaled. If the largest and oldest of the palace dragons were uneasy, something big must be happening. That evening, Kalen was finishing his rounds when a palace guard approached him. His armor gleamed under the fading sun, and his expression was serious. "Kalen, the elder dragons will be visiting soon," the guard said. "You may be needed." Kalen's stomach tightened. He nodded, unsure what that meant. The elder dragons were not like the dragons in the stables. They were ancient, immense, and terrifying. They rarely descended from their high mountains, and when they did, humans did not call the shots. People said their crowns, not their words, decided fates. To be noticed by an elder dragon was to be considered extraordinary, or to be doomed. He returned to the stables, trying to act normal, but he could not shake the feeling that the glowing mark on his palm had something to do with the news. That night, Kalen lay on his cot in the corner of the stables, staring at the ceiling. The hatchling he had helped nuzzled against his shoulder, asleep. The soft glow of the mark had dimmed, but he could feel it pulsing faintly, almost like a heartbeat. He thought about his life, quiet, unnoticed, safe. But the mark, the hatchling, and now the news of the elder dragons had stirred something in him. A part of him he did not know existed, a curiosity, a courage, and a longing to step into something bigger than hay and stalls. When the first light of dawn touched the palace, Kalen felt a pull in his chest, almost like the mark was guiding him. He got up, washed his hands, and looked out across the stables. The dragons watched silently, their eyes reflecting the morning sun. For the first time, Kalen felt that his life, small as it seemed, could change in ways he could never imagine. He picked up the hatchling and whispered, "Maybe today everything will be different." The little dragon chirped softly in reply, and the glow on Kalen's palm flickered once more. He did not know what awaited him, but he felt ready. Something extraordinary was coming. Something that would take him far beyond the quiet corners of the stables and into a world where humans were judged not by their birth, but by their courage and heart. Kalen took a deep breath, adjusted the hatchling on his shoulder, and stepped out of the stable into the dawn. The mountains loomed in the distance, and above them, he thought he saw the faint shimmer of wings. The elder dragons were coming. And somehow Kalen knew they had come for him. Kalen had barely finished breakfast when a messenger arrived, riding a sleek black dragon with silver stripes. The dragon's wings beat the air like thunder as it landed in the courtyard, sending dust and hay flying. The messenger, a human in simple robes, bowed low before Kalen. "Kalen, the elder dragons request your presence at the Citadel of Crowns," he said, his voice steady but urgent. "You are to leave immediately." Kalen's heart raced. The Citadel of Crowns was where the elder dragons lived, high above the mountains on floating rock islands. No human had been invited there in centuries. He swallowed hard. "Me? Why would they want me?" he asked, though the question sounded foolish even to his own ears. The messenger did not answer. He only gestured to the black dragon. "Mount. They await you." Kalen hesitated, glancing at the hatchling perched on his shoulder. The little green dragon chirped softly as if encouraging him. Taking a deep breath, Kalen climbed onto the dragon's back, holding tight as the creature's wings unfurled. The ground fell away beneath them and the wind whipped against his face. The palace shrank until it was only a patch of stone and trees below. Kalen's stomach flipped with excitement and fear. The journey was silent except for the wind and the dragon's steady flaps. As they neared the floating islands of the citadel, Kalen could see dragons of enormous size circling above, their wings spanning wider than buildings. Their scales glimmered in shades of gold, silver, and deep crimson. They were terrifying and magnificent. The dragon beneath him slowed, gliding to a landing platform carved from stone. Kalen dismounted, feeling the rough texture under his boots. Before him the elder dragons waited. They were massive, far larger than any dragon in the stables, and they wore crowns of crystal and metal. Their eyes glowed with intelligence older than any human could imagine. Kalen felt his knees weaken, but he forced himself to stand tall. One of the elder dragons, a silver-scaled male with eyes like molten gold, stepped forward. His voice was deep, echoing in Kalen's mind as well as in the air. "You carry a mark no human has shown in centuries," he said. "It appeared while you cared for a hatchling. That mark chooses the bearer, and it has chosen you." Kalen swallowed. I don't understand. I'm just a stable hand. I don't know anything about—" "Do not speak of yourself so lightly," interrupted another elder dragon, her scales the color of molten bronze. "Courage is not measured by titles or birth. You have shown care, patience, and intuition. That is what the mark recognizes." Kalen felt a shiver run down his spine. He had never imagined his small acts, feeding hatchlings, cleaning stalls, calming dragons, could mean anything beyond the stables. And now here he was, being judged by beings who could crush cities with a single claw. The silver elder dragon lowered his massive head. "You will be tested. Not with strength but with wisdom and courage. The galaxy watches and humans have long been underestimated. Prove that your kind can rise to the challenge." Kalen's mind raced. Tested, how? The bronze elder dragon gestured to a glowing orb hovering above a stone pedestal. It pulsed softly with blue light. "This is the orb of insight. It will guide you, but you must choose your path. Think carefully, for your decisions will affect more than yourself." Kalen approached the orb cautiously. It was warm to the touch, humming with energy. The moment his fingers brushed it, a wave of understanding flowed through him. Calculations, possibilities, warnings, and ideas flashed in his mind. He realized it could help him see the best actions in dangerous situations, anticipate danger, and inspire dragons and humans alike. The elder dragons watched silently. Kalen realized this was not just a test of courage but of trust. They had entrusted him, a stable hand, with something powerful, something that could shape the future. He felt the weight of responsibility press down on him, but also a strange thrill. Where do I begin?" Kalen asked. "Begin where your heart and mind lead you," said the silver elder dragon. "Your first trial will come sooner than you expect." Before Kalen could ask more, the platform shivered, and a message arrived via Dragon Rider. A fleet of marauders had been spotted near the asteroid fields. They were capturing dragon hatchlings to sell across the galaxy. Kalen felt a surge of fear but also determination. This was it, his first chance to prove himself. The elder dragons nodded, acknowledging the news. Do not fail, Kalen. But know this, failure is only the path to understanding. Trust yourself as we trust you. Kalen mounted the black dragon once more, the orb of insight secured at his side. As they soared toward the stars, he felt a strange calm. The glowing mark on his palm pulsed, stronger than before, as if urging him onward. For the first time in his life, Kalen felt that he was exactly where he was meant to be. The asteroid fields loomed ahead, jagged rocks floating in endless black. Kalen's heart pounded, but he felt ready. He had no army, no weapons, only his wits, the orb, and a growing understanding that humans were capable of far more than anyone had believed. The black dragon twisted in the air, dodging a falling meteor, and Kalen tightened his grip. Ahead, he saw the Marauders' ships, dark and sleek, moving to capture a cluster of dragon hatchlings clinging to a small comet. Kalen's pulse quickened. This was the moment that would test him. He touched the orb of insight again, feeling it hum, and a map of the asteroid field appeared in his mind. He saw where the ships would move, where the hatchlings were most vulnerable, and a path to protect them. Kalen's fear was replaced with focus. He whispered to the black dragon, "We can do this. We have to." Above, the elder dragon's crowns glimmered faintly in the distance, watching. Kalen knew they had faith in him. And somehow that gave him the courage to face what no stable hand had ever faced before. Kalen's heart raced as he guided the black dragon through the twisting asteroid field. Rocks the size of houses floated around them, spinning slowly in the dark void. The Marauder ships, sleek and black, hovered near a group of small dragon hatchlings clinging to a frozen comet. Kalen gripped the orb of insight tightly, feeling it pulse in his hand. The energy inside seemed alive, guiding his thoughts, showing him paths and choices he could never have imagined before. The hatchlings chirped frantically, their tiny wings flapping as they struggled to stay attached to the comet. Kalen's stomach twisted with worry. These creatures were helpless against the Marauders. He knew that any mistake could mean disaster, not just for the hatchlings but for the trust the elder dragons had placed in him. "Stay calm," Kalen whispered to himself. "Think, plan, act." The orb's hum grew louder. In his mind he saw the paths the ships would take. He saw the rocks spinning, the hatchlings' positions, and the best angles to intercept the Marauders without putting the hatchlings at risk. Kalen pointed toward a narrow gap between two giant asteroids. The black dragon twisted sharply, banking through the opening as a blast from a Marauder ship narrowly missed them. Kalen held on, heart pounding, and felt the orb guide him like a compass in the chaos. The first attack came quickly. A small ship swooped close, its claws extended to snatch a hatchling. Kalen leaned forward, placing his hand on the orb. A surge of clarity ran through him. He guided the black dragon below the ship, weaving through the asteroids, forcing the ship to overshoot. The hatchling was safe. Kalen let out a short breath, but he knew there was no time to relax. More ships were closing in. Kalen's mind raced. He realized the key wasn't to fight them directly. He was not a warrior. His strength was strategy, observation, and courage. Using the orb, he found the patterns in the ship's movement and the way the rocks would protect him. He directed the black dragon in sharp dives and twists, creating obstacles for the Marauders. One by one, the ships collided with floating asteroids or were forced to veer off course. He noticed the hatchlings were slowly drifting toward a larger rock formation that could serve as a temporary shield. Kalen guided them gently, keeping the Marauders busy. He felt a thrill of satisfaction as one ship was caught spinning in the gravity pull of a small asteroid, unable to continue its chase. Kalen's hands ached from gripping the orb, but he ignored it. The hatchling's safety was everything. Suddenly, a larger Marauder ship appeared, its engines blazing with energy. It was bigger than the others, armed with mechanical arms designed to grab multiple hatchlings at once. Kalen's heart leapt into his throat. The black dragon roared, flapping its wings to gain speed, while Kalen searched the orb for guidance. Images flashed, paths, openings, timing. He understood that he had only one chance. "Hold on," he whispered. The black dragon swooped close to a spinning asteroid, using its movement to deflect the larger ship. Kalen timed it perfectly. The ship collided with the edge of the asteroid, sending sparks into space. The hatchlings were safe for now, and the other ships began retreating, unable to match Kalen's clever maneuvers. Kalen exhaled deeply, his body shaking from adrenaline. He had never felt anything like this. He looked down at the hatchlings, chirping and clinging to the protective rock. The orb of insight pulsed softly as if approving his choices. Kalen realized that his courage had grown in ways he could not have imagined. He had faced danger beyond the stables, beyond anything a human should have faced, and he had succeeded. The black dragon landed on a stable asteroid, allowing the hatchlings to safely attach themselves. Kalen stroked their small heads, feeling a wave of relief and pride. They looked at him with trust, chirping as if they understood he had saved them. He smiled, a small, tired smile. For the first time he felt that his life mattered beyond the stables. But the orb reminded him that this was only the beginning. The elder dragons had not tested him with mere strength. They wanted to see if humans could think, plan, and act with courage under pressure. Kalen realized that bravery was not about fighting. It was about making the right decisions when everything seemed impossible. As he guided the black dragon back toward Drather, Kalen looked out at the stars. The galaxy seemed larger, full of dangers and possibilities he had never known. He thought about the elder dragons and the trust they had placed in him. He felt a strange pride and determination. If humans could rise to challenges like this, they could earn respect among the mightiest beings in the universe. When they returned to the palace, Kalen was exhausted, but he was met with quiet admiration. Even the older dragons in the stables seemed to sense something had changed in him. He had faced the stars, the dangers, and survived with wisdom and courage. He had proven, to himself at least, that even a stable hand could rise to greatness when the moment demanded it. That night, Kalen sat in the quiet of the stables, the hatchlings safe beside him. The glow of the mark on his palm pulsed softly, reminding him that his journey was just beginning. The elder dragons would watch and more trials would come. But Kalen no longer doubted himself. He had faced danger beyond the stars and had succeeded. For the first time in his life he felt ready. He was not just a stable hand anymore. He was a human with courage, intelligence, and a purpose greater than himself. The stars above seemed to shine brighter, as if acknowledging his first steps into a larger world. Kalen closed his eyes and whispered to the hatchlings, "This is only the start. We will face what comes, together." The little dragons chirped, nuzzling him, and the mark on his palm pulsed once more, steady and strong, like a heartbeat of the galaxy itself. Kalen returned to Drather, still carrying the weight of the trials he had faced in the asteroid fields. The hatchlings he had saved clung to his shoulder and back as he walked through the stables, their tiny claws tapping lightly against his armor. The dragons around him watched quietly, their eyes reflecting a new respect. He felt different too, stronger and more certain. The orb of insight rested in a satchel across his chest, pulsing softly with a light that seemed to echo his heartbeat. Word of Kalen's bravery had already spread. Humans in the palace whispered about the stable hand who had outwitted the marauders and protected the dragon hatchlings. Some doubted the story, thinking it exaggerated. But Kalen paid little attention. He was not concerned with fame. He was concerned with what came next. That afternoon the elder dragons returned. They did not come alone. A council of interstellar rulers had been summoned, their ships hovering above Drather. Kalen had never met any of them. He had only heard of their power, their influence across countless star systems. They were here to judge whether humans could be trusted allies of dragons. The silver elder dragon lowered himself to the ground, his massive wings folding around him like a cloak. "Kalen," he said, his voice echoing like thunder, "you have shown courage and wisdom in your first trial. But now you must demonstrate that humans can lead, inspire, and protect." The council is skeptical. They believe humans are reckless, short-sighted, and weak. Prove them wrong. Kalen swallowed. The thought of standing before rulers from countless worlds was terrifying, yet he felt a strange calm. He looked at the orb, then at the dragons around him, and realized that his strength did not come from weapons or armies. It came from understanding, from thinking carefully, and from caring for those he led. He stepped forward as the council members watched, their eyes sharp and judging. Kalen presented his plan simply. Humans and dragons could work together to protect colonies, share knowledge, and thrive in dangerous parts of the galaxy. He explained how human ingenuity could complement dragon strength, how humans could solve problems dragons might overlook, and how dragons could protect humans from dangers they could not foresee. He used the orb to illustrate his points, showing simulations of attacks, rescue missions, and supply routes. He predicted problems before they arose, offering solutions that seemed obvious now that he spoke them aloud. The council members whispered among themselves, impressed despite themselves. Some leaned forward, nodding. Others frowned, still doubtful, but Kalen did not falter. "You have shown skill," said one ruler, her voice cold but thoughtful. "But what of loyalty? What guarantees do we have that humans will act responsibly when fear or greed tempts them?" Kalen's gaze met the elder dragon's. "Loyalty comes from understanding and trust, not from fear or chains," he said. I have learned that humans can rise to challenges when they care for something greater than themselves. Protecting the hatchlings was not about reward. It was about doing what was right. That same courage can guide humans in every corner of the galaxy. The council was silent for a moment. Kalen could feel their skepticism melting as they realized he spoke not as a hero seeking praise, but as someone who had acted for the good of others. The elder dragons shifted slightly, their crowns glinting as if acknowledging the truth in his words. Then the silver elder dragon stepped forward. He lowered his massive head until it was level with Kalen's chest. The gesture was deep, ancient, and full of respect. You have spoken wisely, Kalen. You have proven that humans, though small, can rise to greatness when guided by courage and heart. We honor you. The other elder dragons followed, lowering their heads, their crowns nearly touching the ground. Kalen's heart swelled. The gesture was more than recognition. It was an acknowledgement that he, a simple stable hand, had earned the respect of the oldest, wisest beings in the galaxy. Kalen realized that leadership was not about power or fear. It was about inspiring trust, thinking carefully, and acting with courage. He understood that humans could be more than what others believed. With guidance, patience, and opportunity, they could rise to match the greatest beings in the universe. The Council of Rulers, now silent, looked at Kalen differently. Some nodded in approval. Others murmured among themselves, no longer doubting his wisdom or the potential of humans. Kalen felt a sense of accomplishment unlike anything before. He had faced fear, danger, and judgment, and had prevailed without striking a single blow. Later, Kalen returned to the stables. The hatchlings climbed over him, chirping softly, as if celebrating their survival and his guidance. He stroked their small heads, smiling. The orb of insight glowed faintly, a reminder that the journey was not over. There were more challenges ahead, but Kalen no longer feared them. He had proven himself once and he could do it again. The elder dragons watched from their floating citadel, their eyes calm but shining with approval. Kalen knew that he had earned a rare trust. It was not given lightly and he would not betray it. From that moment he carried the responsibility of humans and dragons alike, a bridge between species, a symbol of what courage and wisdom could achieve. Kalen's hands itched to care for the hatchlings again, to prepare them for the future, but he also felt a sense of purpose stretching beyond the stables. He realized that he could guide humans, train them to work with dragons, and show the galaxy that humans were capable of greatness. The mark on his palm pulsed steadily, a constant reminder that he had been chosen, not because of birth or strength, but because of his heart. That night, Kalen looked up at the stars from the stable's rooftop. The skies were wide and full of possibilities. He thought about the council, the elder dragons, and the trials that awaited. A sense of calm and confidence settled over him. He was no longer a simple stable hand. He was a human who had faced the galaxy, earned respect, and begun to change the way the universe saw his kind. He whispered softly to the hatchlings sleeping beside him, "We have more to do. We will rise together." The little dragons chirped in response, and the mark on Kalen's palm glowed softly. For the first time he truly understood what it meant to be chosen not for power but for courage, heart, and the wisdom to guide others. Kalen smiled, knowing that the galaxy had opened a new path, and he was ready to walk it. Kalen stood on the balcony of the stables, looking out across the kingdom of Drather. The sun was rising, casting golden light over the mountains where the elder dragons nested. He could see dragons flying high, their wings catching the morning light like sparks of fire and silver. Humans and dragons alike had begun to gather near the stables, curious and respectful. Word of Kalen's trials and victories had spread, and now many came seeking guidance, inspiration, or simply to witness what humans could achieve when courage and heart led the way. The hatchlings chirped around him, hopping from shoulder to arm, nuzzling against him as if sensing the importance of the moment. Kalen smiled and gently stroked their small heads. He remembered when he had first found them, helpless and alone, and how he had saved them from marauders. Those moments had changed everything. They had changed him. The elder dragons arrived silently above, their wings glinting in the sunlight. They circled once and then landed, their massive forms casting long shadows over the courtyard. Kalen felt the familiar hum of the orb of insight in his satchel. It pulsed warmly as if echoing his own sense of purpose. He stepped forward to greet the dragons, bowing respectfully. "You have done well, Kalen," said the silver elder dragon, his deep voice resonating in the courtyard. "You have shown that humans can act with courage, wisdom, and care. You have proven that your kind can rise to meet challenges and protect life." Kalen nodded, feeling a mix of pride and humility. "I only did what I could," he said. I could not have done it without the dragons, without their trust and guidance. The elder dragon's golden eyes softened. And that is exactly why humans can be more than what others assume. Courage and understanding matter more than strength or status. You have shown this to the galaxy. A crowd of humans and dragons gathered as Kalen stepped forward. He began speaking, his voice steady. We have the chance to build a future together, he said. Humans and dragons can protect each other, learn from each other, and explore the stars side by side. We can create worlds where all of us, big and small, winged and grounded, are respected and safe. Some humans whispered to each other, skeptical at first. But as Kalen continued, explaining how humans could learn dragon care, strategy, and collaboration, the whispers turned to nods and quiet excitement. Dragons looked on with calm intelligence, some nudging humans to listen, others flapping their wings in quiet agreement. Kalen showed them the orb of insight, explaining how it could guide humans to make wise choices and anticipate danger. He demonstrated simulations of rescue missions, protection plans, and how dragons and humans could work together across planets. The elder dragons watched, their expressions unreadable but their crowns lowered slightly, a sign of deep respect. You have proven more than skill, said the bronze elder dragon, her eyes like molten metal. You have proven that humans, when guided by heart and reason, can rise to be equals among the greatest beings in the universe. Kalen felt the weight of those words but also a sense of peace. He realized that leadership was not about power, titles, or fear. It was about helping others, making the right choices, and inspiring trust. It was about showing that humans could rise to meet challenges, not alone but together with dragons. The elder dragons spread their wings and rose above the courtyard. The humans and dragons below watched in awe as the ancient beings circled once, then lowered their crowns again, this time in a gesture that included all present. Kalen understood, this was more than recognition of him alone. It was a promise, a signal that humans and dragons could build a future together, side by side. Kalen returned to the hatchlings, smiling. We have work to do, he said softly. We will train humans to care for dragons, teach dragons to trust humans, and explore worlds together. This is just the beginning. Days turned into weeks and Kalen worked tirelessly. He trained humans in dragon care and strategy, helping them understand flight, feeding, communication, and trust. He organized patrols and rescue missions, always pairing humans and dragons to learn from each other. The bond grew stronger. Humans learned patience, courage, and strategy. Dragons learned to rely on humans, understanding their intelligence and creativity. The galaxy began to notice. Other planets sent representatives, curious to learn from the partnership between humans and dragons on Drather. Kalen guided them, showing how cooperation and understanding could change the course of civilizations. He became a symbol of what humans could achieve, not through war or conquest, but through courage, intelligence, and heart. One evening, as Kalen watched the sunset with the hatchlings nuzzling against him, the elder dragons landed nearby. The silver elder dragon lowered his massive head to Kalen's level. You have done well, he said. The galaxy now knows that humans can rise to greatness. They will remember this and your efforts will shape the future. Kalen smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest. He looked at the dragons, the hatchlings, and the humans working together, and realized that the world had already begun to change. It was no longer a galaxy where dragons ruled and humans merely existed. It was a galaxy where courage, wisdom, and heart mattered more than status, power, or size. The glow on Kalen's palm pulsed faintly, a reminder of the mark that had chosen him, the mark that had guided him through trials, danger, and doubt. He understood now that greatness was not given, it was earned through actions, trust, and care. He whispered to the hatchlings, we are writing our future together. Humans and dragons side by side, learning, growing, and protecting what matters. The little dragons chirped softly as if promising to do just that. Kalen took a deep breath, watching the stars begin to appear in the darkening sky. The galaxy stretched endlessly before him, full of challenges and wonders. And he knew that together humans and dragons could face anything. He was no longer just a stable hand. He was a bridge between worlds, a symbol of courage and a guide for the future. And as the elder dragons lowered their crowns once more, Kalen smiled, feeling the pulse of the galaxy in his hands, the heartbeat of a future written together. One filled with trust, hope, and a bond between species that would never be broken.